Okay, so now to quilt this out, I have dropped my needle right down at the top of the head of that circle out towards the outer edge. And I've locked my thread. And I start off with that figure eight. I'm going to do a figure eight up and come down right to the middle point, that registration line. And I am using Superior metallic thread. And I tend to vacillate between Superior metallic and YLI metallic because I like both of them, and it just depends on what color I need. So I'm back up at that registration line. I am now going to come all the way down, follow that spine. If I don't hit the chalk line exact, I don't care. They're not going to see the chalk line. And the human eye is going to automatically correct, let me slide down here a little bit, what any of my little mistakes. Won't correct the big ones, but the human optic nerve will correct the little ones. So I'm going to do my flip in, come around with my feather fronds, come way around to the back of the head. I only want to put about 2 or 3 fronds in the center of that hook. Now I start stretching those fronds out to the edge of the border, and I'm going to throw in some veins, double bump, vein, double bump, vein, and I'm going to work my way all the way back to the circle at the corner of this border. Now sometimes the key as you're working your way back down that border is to really curve that frond, the bump, back and around, rather than come in at a straight angle and then they start to turn into daisy petals that are sticking straight out. Okay, now I'm coming back and I'm feathering towards that figure eight. Bump, back, and the top of those double bumps is just a nice smooth little arc. So bump, back, I'm almost back to the figure eight. Slide that last one in, lay it right in, and now I head up. Go right to that miter line. Lay the next feather, go right to the miter line. Right to the miter line, hook shape that's at the middle of the border, coming around, and I'm going to meet my little feather fronds right there in the center of that border. And I'm going to put a few fancy schmancy feathers in there. You like it? Fancy schmancy. We're all classy here. Up, go into the corner. I want to make sure not to cross that chalk line and go into my binding space. This is not a design you want to cut off. Come back, and I backtrack all the way back to where that first or second feather meets the spine. And then that way you don't have this obvious place that you've cut. Going to cut thread, and then we're going to mirror it from the other side. Now I have locked my threads at the same place in the mirroring corner, because that's where we start. We go into our figure eight, down toward the middle there, up towards the outer edge, and then we go down with our spine. Follow that curve. I'm going to go into my hook, flip in there nice and deep. Get that first feather frond, swing it around towards the back of the head of that hook. Come around. Inside hooks, I tend to go ahead and use traditional feather fronds. And then if I want to switch, which I am on this one, to a different feather, and I'm doing that double bump feather. I am now heading back towards that figure 8. I'm almost back to the corner. I'm going to squeeze in just a few fronds, go right into the tip of that figure 8, and then close that last one off. Head down, go to the miter. Next feather, lay it in, get your vein. Veins is just a wonderful, simple way to doctor up feathers. And down, of course, metallic makes everything look good as well. A bump, and feather all the way down to the middle, and meet with the mirror inside. Now I'm coming towards the center of that border. Go in, throw in a couple fancy feathers, or not, whatever you prefer. I'm just going to kind of mirror that to the opposite side. Come around. Close that little guy off. Come around, and again I'm going to go down to about that second feather where the inner feather makes connection with the spine. Lock my threads. Now that I've finished the parallel horizontal edge, now I'm going to go up vertically. And so I'm going to start here right in that figure 8, lock my threads, and do the same thing. I'll only go part way up and do my feathers back. And as I work my way up, or whether you work your way down, however you choose to do it, you're just going to do the throat space, one throat space at a time until it's completed up to the middle. Now, what happens a lot of times is I will start at the top, which I did on this quilt. I did the top border and then I came down the sides because I had a mark in the middle. And then I didn't complete the bottom border, but I did the body of the quilt, came down to the bottom, and what we just filmed was the bottom of the quilt. And now I'm heading back up towards that middle. I tend to be a little lazy on the turning the quilt to do the sides horizontally. And eventually, you know, if you're not there yet, you will be able to get there. You know, those little shortcuts we do to save a little bit of time. We're locked right in the middle of the figure 8. Follow my spine. Flip out my first feather, come back. Make sure my little vein in that feather frond follows the contour that I want it to. And it'll take the attention off if I didn't get that first feather frond at the right angle. And I always make sure my veins are in the right angle, and that will doctor up anything that I've messed up. Start flipping it back around towards that figure 8. Flip, vein, outside, and I'm going to go right up to that chalk line, which is where the binding is going to go to. Okay, now that's as far as I can go in that throat space. I'm going to flip over, do the other side, and keep rolling my quilt up towards the center. And then we're going to go ahead and flash to a picture here of the finished progress.